Hello everybody, thanks for tuning into today's video. Just want to have a quick look at next week's weather. I think we are seeing some signs, and it's come out quite suddenly this, but we are seeing some signs that next week is going to warm up a bit. So we are probably in for quite a warm spell of weather towards the end of next week, particularly for southern areas. It's not going to last too long. I think it will break down quite quickly into thundery weather. But nevertheless, we're probably going to push those temperatures up towards, or maybe a little bit beyond 80 Fahrenheit once we get through to the end of next week. And we're going to start off with the GFS temperature ensemble, the GFS ensembles I should say. We've got temperatures here, these lines here are temperature, and the spikes on the bottom are precipitation. So this is the temperature now, and you can see that we're actually below average at the moment. The red line is where the seasonal average is, and we can see that all the lines at the moment are below that red line, so the temperatures are below normal. Hardly surprising because it's wet, windy and cold across much of the country, but look how those lines very sharply push above average next week. So by the 29th of June we're really pushing those temperatures up next week. And I think, as I say, we're probably looking at temperatures by Friday, perhaps up to around 80 Fahrenheit. Now, this doesn't last too long. Those temperature lines then quickly come back down again. So we're going to see quite a dramatic drop in the temperature then, I think. Although there's quite a bit of scatter here for the week after next. But certainly next week, the temperatures are pushing up quite nicely. And for precipitation, well, we've got a big area of precipitation to come over the weekend, more wet weather to come Saturday into Sunday. But beyond that, where we do keep some precipitation spikes here, but certainly less in way of precipitation than we have been experiencing. So probably turning quite a bit drier in the south next week, still unsettled in the north, and those temperatures, as I say, are pushing up above the seasonal normal. So if we have a look at the GFS charts for this morning, and this is the situation right at the moment. It's a horrible day, deep dartboard low once again slap bang over top of the country, bringing lots of heavy rain, particularly rain hammering northern England just at the moment. Some really torrential rain going on up there. Now as we go through in towards Monday, that's when we start to see the change. We're starting to see high pressure ridging in towards France from the Azores high, and that's going to start to push that warmer air northwards. Now we've probably got a weather front coming up with that warmer air, a warm front, so I think it will probably be quite cloudy for a time for the start of next week with some rain around, but very gradually that warm air will slowly push up from the south. Now this situation for Tuesday, we've got a low pressure there over the country, so still Tuesday probably quite showery, but beyond that everything starts to turn quite slack. But the real driving force is probably the area of high pressure over France, and that's going to gradually push out warmer air northwards with time. Now with the gradients being slack, we are still running the risk of seeing some thundery showers, so precipitation doesn't go completely, and we saw that on the ensemble. Of course we do keep some precipitation spikes. That's probably more particularly for the north and the west, but I think really with these slack gradients there will be a risk of seeing some thundery showers, particularly as that warmer air gradually moves up from the south. And by the time we get through to Friday, remember this is when the peak of the temperatures are going to be. We've got that low pressure developing then down to the southwest of the country, and I say that's going to help to force that warmer air from France northwards. And this doesn't show it, but I think there'll be an area of high pressure just somewhere to the east of the country, between the low and the high, will push up somewhat to warmer air, some quite hot air actually, across the country. But it won't last, because that low pressure down to the southwest then develops and moves eastwards quite quickly on Friday, late Friday into Saturday. But it'll probably take a band of thundery weather across the country. Could be some storms. We'll have to look at this in more detail next week, because I know a lot of you do like thunderstorms, but I think we could get some storms, and I say I'll look at that in more detail next week. But we'll generally push out thundery weather across the country by next weekend and introduce a much cooler and fresher west to southwesterly wind. So certainly the warm-up doesn't last too long, but it will be a day or two of more summery conditions. This is the ECMWF, and it's very similar. We've got the high pressure building into France and the low pressure out to the west of the country. And as we go through in towards Wednesday and Thursday, well, we'll probably build that high pressure a little bit stronger to the east. That's what I was talking about. The GFS didn't show it, but the ECM does, and that's building that ridge to the east, the low pressure out to the west, and we're bringing up that southerly wind between the two. but as I say, it doesn't last. That low pressure is developing to the west and the southwest, so that although it turns quite hot on Thursday and these upper air temperatures are bringing some really warm air up across southern parts of the country, we would be pushing up above 80 Fahrenheit with that. But as I say, it doesn't last. That low pressure by Friday then is coming towards us. We're taking a front across the country, cutting off that warm southerly or the hot southerly, and probably giving us some thunderstorms in the process, but certainly introducing cooler and fresher weather back off the Atlantic. Although even by Saturday that warm air still isn't too far away from the southeast, but really the country is in cooler and fresher air by Saturday. So this is just a quick heads up, really, because this has come along quite suddenly. But it does look as though we are in for quite a good warm up as we go through next week, particularly for southern parts of the country. I think we'll all feel it quite a bit warmer than it has been. A few days, two maybe 3 days of generally fine weather. Will still be a few thundery showers around, but a lot of dry weather, I think, through the middle of next week. And then as we go towards the end of next week, the temperatures peak on Friday most probably, getting up to around or maybe a bit above 80 Fahrenheit, but quickly cooling down again, turning thundery and much cooler and fresher by next weekend. That's the plan anyway. I'll be looking at all this in more detail in the 7-day forecast tomorrow, so come back to that. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.